This episode is sponsored by Smart Travel, a new podcast from NerdWallet. You know that one friend who always finds the best travel deals, picks the right cards, and somehow ends up in first class for the price of coach? How do they do that? Well, Smart Travel is like that friend, but in podcast form. They cover all things travel finance, like which travel cards earn their keep and which are just heavy, shiny metal, and planning group trips that won't ruin your budget or your friendships. So travel smarter and spend less. That's the key with help from NerdWallet. Follow Smart Travel wherever you get your podcasts. Armchair Explorer is a part of the Voyescape podcast network. Check out all of their shows from around the world at voyescape.com. My name's Aaron Millar. I'm a travel writer myself, and this podcast is all about taking you on adventures. I want to show you the world in the time it takes you to commute, to drop the kids at school, to go for a jog, to cook dinner, to whatever you're doing. We want to immerse you in adventures and the amazingness of this planet. Each episode, we're going to get on a guest, a travel writer, a presenter, a photographer, an adventurer, an extreme athlete, and they're going to tell us their absolute favorite story from the road, their best travel experiences, that story that you just can't help but tell when you're down the pub with your mates, and they're going to tell it in the most immersive way possible. We want you to feel in your bones what it's like to be there for real. That's what this show is all about. It's about putting you into incredible places. It's about reminding you how amazing this world, this planet really is, and that you're a part of it and it's waiting for you to explore it. But this episode's a little bit different. This is our very first episode of our very first season, which is super exciting. So I want to tell you one of my favorite stories. I want us to hang out a bit. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me a little bit more. So I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories of the last 10 years. I've been lucky to be a travel writer for the last 10 years, and I've done some incredible things. I've met some amazing people. I've been to some absolutely wonderful, awe-inspiring places, and I feel so super lucky to have done those things. And I want to share one of my favorite stories from the last 10 years. It's called cliff camping, which sounds insane. It is insane, but it's also brilliant and amazing. And it starts hundreds of feet up with me dangling from a cliff in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, one of the most beautiful places in the world, in the pitch black, scared out of my mind. But let me just backtrack a bit. Cliff camping, if you're not sure what that is basically extreme sleeping for insane people. It's taking normal people, non-mountaineers, non-mountain goats, up to incredible heights and dangling them from a cliff on a portaledge. And if you don't know what a portaledge is, it's basically those flimsy nylon beds that mountaineers and rock climbers kind of haul up behind them on multi-day ascents of big cliff faces like El Cap and Yosemite. And they actually just sleep on these things. They anchor them to the cliff face, and they get their sleeping bags out and they spend the night, and that means that they can kind of climb up half the cliff, spend the night, and then climb up the next cliff, the rest of the cliff the next day. That's basically what cliff camping is. It's taking vertical virgins up to enormous heights, getting them to live out all their mountaineer fantasies and sleeping on a portaledge with a guide, but spending the night like a true rock climber, like a true rock star mountaineer on a portaledge, camping out on the sheer cliff face. That's what cliff camping is. I freaked out, I'll be honest with you. I've done lots of mountain stuff in the past, but this really freaked me out. This was one of the most exposed, full-on experiences I've ever had. And so I want to start the story basically at the base of this cliff. I'm in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. There's jagged peaks, glacial blue lakes. I've just walked past a herd of elk grazing in this beautiful sunlit meadow, chipmunks scurrying around. It's like the Disney world of mountainness everywhere you can see. But then I'm at the cliff, and just imagine being at the base of this cliff, looking up hundreds and hundreds of feet of sheer vertical rock face above me. And that's where I'm going to spend the night. And as I'm standing there, my guide, Buster Jessic, who, by the way, is to climbing what James Bond is to dry martinis, he just makes it look good. He's the coolest guy. He's straight back from Denali. He's just climbed El Cap in like this ridiculously hard way. And so we get there and he just scurries up this rock face like it's nothing. To him, it is nothing. To me, it's terrifying. And even more terrifying than climbing up it is waiting alone at the base, watching someone else climb up it, knowing that you're about to have to follow that person and do it for yourself. And then it starts to get darker and clouds start to roll in overhead and it starts to drizzle and it feels foreboding and dark and menacing. This cliff is called Deville, like devil, you know, it's like the most appropriately named cliff in the world for this kind of thing. It's just this menacing place all of a sudden. And then Buster looks down and he just motions with his finger, time for me to come up. So I start to climb, and it's been a while since I've been on the rock, and it feels good that movement feels good, but the clouds are getting darker and heavier and they're coming over this ridge above us and it starts to drizzle and the wind kicks up and Buster's trying to shout something down to me and I can't hear him. The wind is just whipping his words away and whipping against my face and I can feel this cold and my hands are getting cold and wet on the rock as I'm pulling myself up through this crack, and I'm getting closer to him, but I'm maybe 80 feet high now and I'm not quite there, and I can feel my feet start to slip. The rock is now wet. There's no denying it. It's raining. The rock is wet and slippery, and I'm kind of just trying to wedge myself up in there, just focusing on getting to this portaledge, getting to this, this safety zone where I can feel like, whew, I'm okay now. But as I climb up, I get to the portaledge, and that's when I realize there is nothing secure. There is no safety in being on a portaledge. It is swaying in the wind. I mean, I'm tied in. My mind knows I'm tied in, but my body just feels so at risk and so exposed. And the clouds are darkening and the wind's kicking up and there is a storm coming. There's no denying it. And then suddenly, flash. Lightning hits. Lightning is one of the Rocky Mountains' biggest killers, and we're right on the edge of Rocky Mountain National Park. I've interviewed park rangers there before, and lightning is one of the absolute biggest killers, and you are exposed as you can be on a cliff face. I mean, anyway, anytime you're rock climbing on a cliff face, you are exposed. Lightning's just going to try and find you there. But on a giant red nylon bed, you are literally like painting a lightning target on your back. And the scariest thing happened after that. I guess it was frightening for me to feel that kind of the power of that lightning so close, that just eruption of noise and power and electrical energy. But my guide Buster is much more experienced at climbing. He's a totally cool, relaxed guy. It was the sort of guy that nothing could faze him. He starts mumbling to himself and swearing under his breath. And he looks at me and he says, "We're going down fast." And he just throws me off this portaledge and SAS style, just abseils me down, boom, to the base as quick as I can go. And he follows, shoom. We're both down at the base. We're untying and running into the woods for shelter. The storm is now in full thunderstorm above us, and he's panting heavily. And I'm looking at the ground and thinking, thank God, I don't have to do this anymore. This storm has rescued me. I don't have to spend the night on that terrifying portaledge. I don't have to do cliff camping. I've really tried my best, but the weather gods have come in and said, no, you can't do it. Because no one would go and do something like cliff camping. No one would sleep on a portaledge if there was a danger of a thunderstorm. No one that is but Buster Jessic. Buster has other ideas. We're going to wait out the storm, then we're going to hike around the back of this cliff in the dark, through bear country, scrambling up on our hands and knees until we get to the top. Then we're going to abseil down, rappel down over the back of this cliff face in the dark and land on the portaledge that way. And then we're still going to spend the night there. We're still going to go cliff camping. But let me just take a little aside here. I'm a big fan of adventure sports. I think that adventure is a way of expanding the possibilities of who we are. It can really enlighten us to the kinds of people we can be. There's been loads of really interesting science done about this, about how, it can boost our self-esteem and confidence. But I think it can do more than that too. It can show us who we really are and who the possibilities of who we might become. We are born into these cliques, these social cliques of families and societies, and we live in these boxes, and adventure can kind of unwrap and break us out of those boxes. And that's what I love about it. So fear sometimes is a good thing. Fear is sometimes it's pushing us forward. It's expanding the parameters of who we are and who we might one day become. I'm fully on board with embracing the fear, but fear sometimes can be something more than that. And that's what I realized that day. Fear sometimes can just end up being raw panic, a kind of ancient instinct that you just can't shake. Sometimes you can't embrace fear and grow with it. Sometimes fear is just something that you have to endure. So we do it. Eventually the storm fades, the clouds roll back. It's now, maybe 10 o'clock at night. Stars are just starting to pop out on the horizon. The sounds of the forest and the mountains have kind of subdued into night. And it actually feels really peaceful. You can feel that this kind of energy of the storm is now past, and it feels peaceful and quiet. And, just a really beautiful place to be. But that's when Buster gives the word. And so we begin this crazy hike up the backside of this cliff, where we are scrambling through stone and pine brush and grabbing roots and branches up this ridiculously steep cliff face. And it just feels like this crazy adventure where we are off the trail. We are where the animals go. We are where the wild things go. And that feels different than just, hiking on a trail and staying in a designated campsite. We are bushwhacking through the wilderness and scrambling up covered in mud and dirt to reach the top of this peak. But then when we reach there, Buster stops. There is a gap of maybe 2 feet between the edge of the mountain summit where we've kind of climbed to the top of this cliff and where we need to get to. And that gap is like a kind of crevasse. It sinks down for hundreds of feet, and it's just black, just the blackest pit you can imagine. And we have to jump across it. It was the hardest jump I've ever had to do, because if you miss that jump, I probably, if it was on the ground, I would have jumped across it backwards. But the consequences were so high. To do that jump, just to stand on the edge and to will myself to jump, was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And I'll always remember that split second of being in the air, having committed to jumping across this 300-foot crevasse, and just from the side of my eye, looking down and seeing my body just fly over this black abyss. And I'll I'll never forget that feeling. It felt so dangerous and raw, but at the same time, so kind of liberating and exciting, and it was incredible. And when I landed that jump and I was on the other side, I was elated, but I was a little too early to be elated. We had one challenge left. We had to secure a rope to a boulder on the edge of the cliff and abseil down, rappel down 100 feet to our portaledge and our bed for the night in the dark. If I thought I was scared going up the mountain, when I looked down the other side of that cliff, I knew I was just kidding myself before. This now was true terror. For anyone that's ever done abseiling, rappelling, is always a weird sensation. You have to walk backwards off of a cliff. It's a weird feeling to have your back facing this dark abyss. I mean, in the daylight it's weird because you can kind of sense this height beneath you and your instinct is to want to sort of turn around and see it, but you're walking backwards into this empty space, into this kind of sense of vertigo. You think it might be better at night because you wouldn't be able to see how high up you were. It's not better at night. It's 10 times worse at night. It's like walking backwards into the belly of a giant beast. The night was so full, so complete of darkness, it felt like I was being swallowed by something. And in many ways, I was, because I was descending into this void, and it felt like it was covering me like a dark blanket all around. There were no real stars or other lights out yet, and I couldn't really make out where I was. It was very disorientating. I was just in a black space, and I was walking backwards, and because the cliff was kind of overhanging, I couldn't see where Buster was. I was just, abseiling down. I was just walking backwards down this cliff face, and it's the strangest feeling, that I had a head torch on, and the only light I could see, my whole kind of sphere of perception was just this narrow bubble, and that was my whole world. It was like I could have been an astronaut in outer space, and I realized halfway down that this was the wildest, most dangerous, most raw place I'd ever been in my life. And that made me think, that made me feel in some way so kind of connected to that cliff and to those mountains, because it's one thing to see them from the trail or from a viewpoint or from a car park, which is where most people see those mountains, but to see it from this perspective, how many people have seen that perspective? Yeah, it was terrifying. Yeah, I couldn't wait to finish that abseil and get to the portaledge and tie in and just curl up into a ball. But that wildness, that rawness, that sensation, that pure exhilaration, that wilderness, I felt that in my bones, and it felt incredible. It felt like I was really privileged to see this landscape from this incredible place. Eventually I did make it down. It was a nightmare. The rope wasn't long enough. I had to, Buster was trying to shout up to me, and I had to, tie myself into the cliff using a piece of protection, and then untie the rope, and then retie it again in order to come down. And untying a rope in that situation is the most unnatural, terrifying thing you will ever do in your life. But I did it. And then I was too far to the left. I had missed where I'd kind of gone down on an angle accidentally, and I had to then literally run like action movie style across this cliff to try and get some kind of pendulum like swing to make it to where the Buster and my bed for the night was. But eventually I got there, he tied me in, and I'm sitting down on the portaledge, and I think, okay, I've done it. We're here. I've done it. But the thing is, the feeling of danger and apprehension didn't leave me. I was dangling over the edge all night long. Every time I shut my eyes and tried to get some sleep, I was exhausted. All this adrenaline I had through the day, I would get this sensation that I was spinning backwards, that I was about to fall backwards. It was this kind of dizzying vertigo experience. I've never had anything like it. And this part of me would scream at me as soon as I was about to fall asleep. I would just be drifting off. I'd feel my mind drift off. And then a part of me would scream at me, and I would gasp and sit up, bolt upright, because I was not allowing myself to sleep. 6 billion years of evolution was not allowing my brain to shut off and sleep in this place. This was too raw, too dangerous for me to do that. So I stayed up all night long in this pattern of spinning backwards, and it got worse. At one point the wind kicked in, and it started to rain, and we had to take shelter and cover ourselves, and I could feel that the storm was kind of brewing and shaking me through the night. I had to have a pee. It was the worst pee I've ever had to have in my life. I had to literally lean over the edge of this portaledge and just go for it. And extreme sleeping is one thing, but extreme peeing, if you've never had a pee 500 feet up with vertigo pulling you backwards 360 degrees, you've really never peed before. But eventually something absolutely incredible and amazing happened. And really it's the point of this whole story. The dawn broke, sunrise came, light and colour filled this valley, and suddenly I saw where we were. We were in the heart of this beautiful mountain valley, and in the distance, the town of Estes Park, which is this kind of small town on the edge of Rocky Mountain National Park. Lights were just flickering and glimmering on like little stars in this kind of early morning dusk. And it was so peaceful and so beautiful. It was like watching kind of watercolors flood a black and white painting and slowly fill out every corner of it. And the light and the color changed me too. I began to relax. I breathed, and I truly realized how special this place was. And Buster turned to me and he said something. He said, "Look at all those people down there. Don't you feel sorry for them?" He was pointing down at this town with all the lights flickering on. We could kind of see car headlights flickering on and starting to move, people going to work. "Look at them," he said. "Don't you feel sorry for them? Just going about their ordinary lives, watching TV, going to work, and they don't know what it's like to be here." And that is why we do adventures. That is why we challenge ourselves with this kind of risk and feeling, to have that unique perception, that have that unique perspective on what a feeling, a place, a viewpoint that almost no one else has seen or had before. And when you have something like that, it changes you forever. You get back down to the ground or to wherever you're going that next day, and you carry that experience with you. It becomes a part of you, and it became a part of me too. And afterwards, after we watched the sunrise, we eventually abseiled down to the ground. And when I got to the ground, movie style, I fell to my knees and kissed the ground. I promised myself through the night, through that long, dark night of vertigo and fear, that when I made the ground, I would kiss the ground and I would never do anything like this again. But when I kissed the ground, I said something else to myself. I made a different promise. I promised myself that I would be back there again, that I would do it again, that I would challenge myself again, that I would embrace and endure that fear again, because that sunrise, that dawn is worth it. That view is worth it. That feeling of being in a true wilderness, of having a true adventure, is always worth it because it expands who you are. Dare to be truly alive. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for letting me tell that story. I absolutely love that story of cliff camping. I hope you liked it too. It's been great hanging out with you. I really appreciate you being here. Appreciate you listening to these stories. Please come back. We've got loads of great guests and loads of great stories from the world of travel and adventure and exploration this season. I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you some more. I also want to give a huge shout out to my man Mike Kumba, aka LID. That's LID, stands for Life in Development, lidmusic.co.uk. He's a producer, he's a rocker, he's a solo artist, he's an electronics experimenter, and he's done all the original soundtracks, original music that you've heard today. I absolutely love this guy. Definitely see it as a collaboration. Great stories need great soundtracks, and that's what he provides. So please do check him out. His solo stuff is on The Sweet Chap at Spotify, or check out his composition material on lidmusic.co.uk. If you want to do this incredible, insane thing of cliff camping for yourself, you can. Please go to armchair-explorer.com. Each episode on our website has its own page, and on that page you're going to find lots of background photos and information about what you've just heard, and you will also find links to book these experiences for yourself. When you book through us, you also help us out. So if you click that link, that affiliate link, you also help out this show. So if you enjoy this podcast and you're interested in doing it yourself, please follow that link through and book it that way. Please also stay in touch. At Aaron M. Writer is my Instagram, and my Twitter at Aaron M. Writer. Please get in touch with us. You can email us to aaron@armchair-explorer.com. Please let me know your thoughts, requests, whatever you want. Please get in touch. It's always great to hang out. And I want to leave you with one thing, and that is the reason why I travel. We are constantly being told that everything is doom and gloom and there are so many problems and so many things to fix in the world, and that is true. But there is also light, there is also amazingness, there is also wonder. And when you open your eyes and you look for it, you will find it in this incredible planet of ours. And when you find it in the planet, when you find it around you, you'll find it in yourself too. Because the more we look for wonder in the world, the more the wonder of the world becomes a part of who we are. Explore, dream, and feed your spirit well. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.
Quick question. Do you want travel tips from people who have actually been there?
Our show is co-hosted by Tim Johnson, an award-winning travel journalist who's been to more than 145 countries around the world. And I'm David Brody, the other co-host who's been travel podcasting for 20 years while traveling to 50-plus countries around the world.
In about 10 or 20 minutes per show, we break down a destination with the kind of insight you usually only get from long guidebooks or hours of research.
So if you want expert advice, zero fluff, and travel inspiration that you can actually use, search for Travel in 10 wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can also find us at boyescape.com.
Hi, I'm Pauline Fromer, host of the Fromer's Travel Podcast. We post new episodes weekly, detailing the kinds of money-saving tips and cultural insights that will make your trips richer without making you significantly poorer. We do so by interviewing real travel experts like TV host Samantha Brown, Fromer's authors from around the globe, and such public figures as Free Solo's Alex Honnold. It's a fun travel party. I hope you can join us.